it is probably against Ofcom regulations to celebrate the apparent rumoured hospitalisation in intensive care of a person. I can't really bring myself to say human being. But that's what I'm going to do. But that's what I'm going to do. Because, well, we haven't minced words since the beginning, but I think we need to mince words even less. We live in a time of butchers, and all of these people are butchers. Anyone who has been involved in massacring any amount of people they are butchers. Anyone complicit. Keir Starmer is a butcher. He looks like a butcher as well, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Morrison, yeah, he does look like he'd look perfect behind a Morrison's.
Like Westlife.
Yeah, just like Westlife. But no, we're not saying Keir Starmer has been hospitalised, but there is a rumour going around that Itamar Ben-Gvir has been hospitalised. Now, if you haven't heard of this charming man, Itamar Ben-Gvir.
Yeah, I mean, he's fit, isn't he?
Oh, so sexy.
I mean, look at him there, like the look of total
derangement.
Psychopathy in his eyes is like, whoa.
So if you have been living under a rock and don't know who Itamar Ben-Gvir is, Itamar Ben-Gvir will go down as one of the prevalent butchers of Gaza. Itamar Ben-Gvir has raped so many hostages that it would probably be an impossible number to count. Itamar Ben-Gvir is a very, very popular among the Gen Z of Israel because he's one of these people like Donald Trump, like this thing that people see a big fat idiot who is shouting, and then they say, hey, this is a wild maverick who isn't in the system, when these people literally are the system. Donald Trump is the system, and Ben-Gvir is the system.
I've never seen him with his mouth shut.
Ben-Gvir successfully campaigned for a change in the law in that part of the world to permit the immediate execution of Palestinian prisoners. They have 10,000 Palestinian prisoners.
Who were mostly held without
any charge.
In, like, you know, your classic human rights abuses, like sham court systems.
Yep. Many of these Palestinian prisoners, again, it's hard to believe that we are saying these things and that this is the reality we live in, but many of these Palestinian prisoners who will be being hanged or electrocuted or God only knows what, you know, with Israel are capable of all new exciting adventures in the industry of death and torture. What was I saying before I got started? Oh yeah, a large amount of those people who will be executed are children. Yes, children. Yeah, they're children. Oh yeah, but Hamas. Oh yeah, but some of those Muslims.
Prisoners.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Child prisoners, who are being executed right now as you you know, eat your lunch or whatever. And so today I am celebrating with great joy the rumoured hospitalisation of the butcher of Gaza and the butcher of Palestine, Itamar Ben-Gvir. This should not be a controversial statement to make. If I went on the air and said Hermann Goering was a terrible man, or Adolf Eichmann was not very charming and had a tendency towards violence, then that wouldn't be controversial. But for some reason, in this very interesting new world that we suddenly went into on October the 8th, 2023, you can't call violent psychopaths out. I mean, people who are so outrageously psychopathic, it's almost comic.
I mean,
you couldn't write it.
It's like a cartoon
Yeah.
level violence.
Yes.
It's like Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
So
you know what I mean?
I will celebrate the hospitalization of Ben Gvir
With his eyes.
and hope he dies, because that man has lost all right to be human.
Yeah.
These people who the Zionists, and you just for reference, in Israel, 85% of that indoctrinated, propagandized population not only support the Holocaust in Gaza, but egg it on with enthusiasm.
Yeah, they go and watch shit being blown up
Yeah.
from a special thing
Mhm.
and have a lovely time watching people being killed.
Yes, this has never happened before in history. They will tell you that that is what Nazi Germany was like. But Nazi Germany was not like that. Let me tell you what Nazi Germany was like. In Nazi Germany, there were a very small amount of the population who were dissenters, refusers, who said no, who tried to take action, who gave their lives in the fight against it. Obviously, many people, well, not as many as would have liked to, but some people were able to flee. There was something like 8% of the German population were enthused, right-wing, crazed Nazis, wanted to kill everyone. And let's just have a little interjection at this point to say that when Hitler was talking about Untermensch, he's not just talking about Jewish people. In Hitler's opinion, everybody to the east of Germany was Untermensch. So
Yeah, you know
Hitler
what
would
I
have
mean,
made his
like-
way to Palestine as well.
Well, you know what I mean?
That was the
I'm-
intention.
I'm like part Roma or whatever, so, well, you know, I would have been murdered.
Yeah.
But I'm also not, you know, have red marks, oh God forbid. So, you know, communists, I hate them.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, these are all, these guys. It's a particular type of man, isn't it? It's just, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a particular. There's a lot of men out there who would do the same given the opportunity, and it really goes across all sort of religions and stuff like that. I mean, it's more in sort of modernity now, the industrial killing, obviously, because we're post-industrialism. So. And also the other thing as well is, like, you know, after Ben Gvir was posting videos of him shouting, "I am Israel, we are the landlords," or whatever.
Ben Gvir, who incidentally, when campaigning for this right to execute Palestinian prisoners, wore a little pin badge of a nice noose.
You know what I mean? What we're supposed to, like, not criticise this guy.
Yeah.
Oh, come on! Oh, it's insulting. Don't insult me.
Yeah. So I think
But that's what
I not
was
only
saying.
speak for us, I speak for a large amount of the population that we have had it.
No, but I speak for, like, literally Netanyahu is criticising him. So me criticising Ben Gvir is basically the same as what Netanyahu's doing and what all the other government people are doing about the fact that he...
Netanyahu is only criticising Ben Gvir because he has
yes,
to.
okay, but my point being that if Netanyahu is allowed to criticise him, then I'm also allowed to criticise him.
Benjamin Netanyahu loves what Ben Gvir is doing.
Yeah,
That's
other
the
people
first time I've whipped out my
hate him.
Benjamin Netanyahu impression on the air. It's pretty good. It's when I realised he sounds like Tony Curtis.
He was rejected from the army due to his extremism. I mean, he's a horrible person.
Yeah.
So
And,
anyway.
and we're not supposed to criticise him, but I will criticise the butcher of Palestine, Ben Gvir, in the same way that if I was around in World War II, I would have been criticising Goebbels and Goering and Eichmann and Hess and all of those horrible people. Horrible men in suits, guys. Except cool Masons, of course. Cool Masons, yeah, they're really cool. But, so... in Nazi Germany, a very small amount of the population were dissenters, 1 to 2%. About 8% were enthused, like Nazis. Probably the kind of, like the Tommy Robinson kind of demographic here. What about the other 90%, Dr. Ergo? What were the other 90% of the population doing during the Third Reich? Well, the other 90% of the population got on with their lives, paid their taxes, went for coffee, said, oh, well, it's got nothing to do with me. And so, actually, you do not find a mirror of Nazi Germany in Israel. You find a mirror of Nazi Germany in the UK and in the majority of the Western world. Now, our involvement with matters Palestinian has been transformative to our lives in very wonderful ways, but also in...
It's uncovered a lot of people's true nature.
It has, seemingly uncovered a lot of people's true natures, and it's interesting.
Quite so crass.
Yeah.
I thought maybe when push came to shove that they would all sort of maybe band together, but no.
No. The last couple of years has also, I am astounded to discover how susceptible to propaganda people are. And the idea which people have been duped into, which is that if news comes from a particular source, then that's the truth. Well, then you have a society which can just be tricked and forever. You have a society which can just be tricked. We all know now that here in the wonderful civilized Western world, which kills babies, that the richest people, the ones with the money, we know now that it was not a conspiracy theory that there is this weird, they call themselves elite, but let's just call them this weird group of rich people. They're not elite because they don't have any skills. They're not brilliant at anything. I'm fairly elite. Lottie's fairly elite. All my friends are elite as hell.
But you know, the thing of calling people the elite.
But we don't eat
also
the horrible stuff.
But I would say that's also a sort of conspiratorial thing there, when actually we're all the same on this planet, underneath the stars in the void. Then they've made up this hierarchical system where Ben Gvir is
Ben-Gvir's the elite.
This big sort of ivory tower thing, when the fact is the only reason that Ben Gvir is in the position that he's in, he's very much like lots of men I've met plenty of people who would if given the opportunity would do that. If the situation was different, or if we were under a more open dictatorship, it would people would jump at the chance, as we see now, because there's a lot of people online who talk about, well, there was a guy who was murdered the other day because people thought he was shoplifting.
In Ireland.
In Ireland.
A Congolese bloke.
Yeah, it was a racist thing.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So
and they killed him.
And they killed him for
Where are the George Floyd style protests?
Oh, there have been people protesting,
but not on any kind of scale.
Well, we probably need to.
Yes, we do. But also, I would say there hasn't been the necessary outrage. Yeah, I'm sure there has in the local community, but there hasn't been the necessary outrage because we've all spent the last 3 years watching brown-skinned people being murdered. Today, I went on the internet and I saw something that happened today. I saw a father carrying his dead daughter and her legs were hanging off. And I've seen so many things like that I wasn't even shocked. No. And why should we be so desensitized?
I really
you know, the media, the government, they have chosen to put this stuff in front of you as well as doing it.
I'm just extremely angry.
And they have they have killed
Like, how dare,
our minds.
How dare everyone have so little respect for life?
Yes.
If you've got no respect for life, because there's a lot of people who've got no respect for life, how dare, or if you know people, like, start saying, or if you do respect life, and I'm saying this as a person who cares greatly about the human race, I'm saying, when I'm criticising people, I also don't want to see people acting like this, so it's actually from a position of care and public health, but like, how dare anyone have so little respect for human life, for this planet, for anything, and to the point now that we're in this situation where
And for all the life in the Gaza Strip.
Yeah, but you know, you would at least hope that they would care about, like, children from the same species as them, but most people don't. A lot of people don't care about their own children, so how can you expect them to care about other people's children? And like, you know, this is really bad, and like, how dare anyone try to like demonise people, like demonise me for having a problem with watching children getting murdered, which I've seen over and over again over the past however long I've been alive. I've just seen genocide after genocide after, and all of it comes from like these attitudes within the communities, which
And
are
it is all
bullying.
committed.
If you get loads of power and money, you end up bullying people on a mass scale.
And
with
it is
murder.
all committed by America, usually with the help of the United Kingdom. If you disagree
why is Tony
with
Blair
that,
still
if you
part of our
disagree
lives?
with that, then why not go on the internet and look up the CIA's involvement with every military coup that has happened in the world since the 1950s.
I mean, it's like a drinking game, isn't it?
Yes.
We all used to talk about it at parties, like,
And
what
I-
the weird things that they did tried to do to Castro, or
Yeah.
that sort of like weird stuff.
So I refuse to live in this lie anymore, and I refuse to see the government, which are apparently governing us, as any kind of authority by this point.
I mean, they're just blokes, mostly, who are dumb. That's what it is.
But it's not just dumb guys. It's evil people.
Yeah, dumb, evil
It's
guys.
people who are deciding to use the structures of things which are supposed to make life tolerable for people to make themselves rich.
Yeah.
It is bankers and business people.
Yeah.
But like I said before, definitely not those cool Masons.
I mean, it kind of also, I mean...
I always hated business guys in business suits, and I didn't know why.
It's
Now I know why.
agents as well as
Estate
like, evil
agents,
estate agents.
yeah.
Like, it's because I was reading about, you know, when I was younger, I was reading about the sort of stuff with the murdering of Pinochet murdering everyone, and how that was all like. The Chicago School of Economics, where all the Milton Friedman stuff came from, and that all influenced policy there, and like loads of people got murdered and everything. And it occurred to me how weird it was that a lot of the people who facilitated were like were the utility companies. So it had something to do with like the telephone companies and like or something. There was some utility company who were involved in it, and I remember thinking at the time, this is so weird that like these guys who are doing the most boring thing. Like the boringest of the boring.
The most boring people.
They're always
as well.
the ones that screw everything up. Like the people who run like the electric board are like evil. What? Why? Why is it like this? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like the guy at the top of the water board is like polluting everyone and poisoning the river. Like why? Isn't it easy to run the water in 2026? Isn't like water and all this sort of stuff the basis of us being able to survive on the planet? Like, of us getting to the point that we are at now. And, you know, it all works fine until, like, privatisation and then everybody's being poisoned and has dysentery. It just seems really obvious. And the thing is, all the people making the money out of it, if they actually just sort of stopped being a psycho, everyone would have had a better time in the first place. None of it would have happened if you just sort of, like, fed people.
Yeah. Now, every cloud has a silver lining and some acid rain
Yeah, well,
in
the
that.
silver's probably something to do with, like, I don't know, petroleum, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but I thought we should reveal to the listeners the one really quite marvellous thing that is in the Epstein files. So this is there, this is documented, this isn't defamatory or anything because, I mean, it's there. Dr. Stephen Hawking. Dr. Stephen Hawking went to Mr. Epstein's house quite a few times, and he liked to get dressed as a little sort of Tinkerbell type fairy, is what he liked to dress up as. And one time they made a wonderful entertainment for Dr. Stephen Hawking. Now this is true. The entertainment they made for Dr. Stephen Hawking was to place a blackboard at the back of a room. Dr. Stephen Hawking was placed on the opposite end of the room, facing that blackboard. Then, two people with dwarfism, hired, I think, hopefully not trafficked, would come into the room and, for Dr. Stephen Hawking, attempt to solve equations, but then not be able to reach the blackboard, which was too high. Isn't that wonderful?
I think that's marvelous.
I think that's a wonderful
I
story.
mean, that's definitely true, yeah?
Yeah, that's definitely true. I see an opera coming.
I mean, really, but there was
The
also
Epstein Files, the opera. No.
thing that I found out from the Epstein Files that I was quite happy about was that he had something to do with the hallowed U2 Spider-Man the musical.
He did. Jeffrey Epstein helped finance U2's Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, one of the most disastrous shows in Broadway history.
I found an email from a woman who was trying to get funding from him and this other, I don't know, Broadway something or other, and then he'd written back saying, oh no, such and such can't do anything at the moment. Spider-Man the musical was bad investment or something, which we've been obsessed with.
Oh, I would love to have a time machine to go and see Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. What? If listeners are not aware, I have myself made a lot of theatre productions, and one of my favourite things is when big, cumbersome, very technical, over-ambitious theatre productions with really stupid ideas go terribly wrong. I've never had a show go terribly wrong, apart from one show where a really stupid idiot called Oblivion Substantial deliberately screwed up the narration and gave a terrible nightmare to the very nice technician who was called John T. Gray, who I'd highly recommend as a technician, who dealt with that situation amazingly. I always think, though, that theatre, like any art form, it should tend towards the precise and the neat rather than the large and the cumbersome. I think, and you know, I've worked on, as has Lottie, on very large, very expensive theatre productions as designers, and we worked in productions with huge objects moving around the stage, and in the case of that production, it did look very beautiful. The hands of director Frederick Wake Walker at the Maggio Musicale.
Was that Romeo and Juliet?
Yes.
Yeah, big sort of stage structures which were lit in interesting ways.
But I think in general, theatre should, and all art should tend towards precision. And with a technical setup that requires, 7,000 AV cues and netting and rigging, and you end up with Spider-Man stuck in mid-air dangling over the audience, which apparently happened on Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark many times, then you have a mess. Even the origin of theatre is that it in the West, as far back as we know, is in Greek theatre, which was played to huge stadiums and huge amphitheatres. And you know, back then, to play those huge stadiums, they didn't need you know, enormous rigging and spectacles, although they did have some pretty cool things. They had, you know, they could make people fly and all that kind of thing. They could have gods floating around on clouds.
Leonardo made a load of
Leonardo made loads of astonishing theatrical automata. And he made a lion that blew smoke, and he once made, Leonardo for a party once made this giant ball made of gold, and then the ball split open, and there was a model of the universe spinning around of gold inside the ball, and inside that was somebody stood in that Vitruvian Man pose.
Wow.
And then, of course, it will have been melted down and used for weapons or something like that. Which is fun.
Well, gold, I suppose.
Which is fun. Yeah, it would have been melted down and used for.
It was actually quite easy to construct because it's very pliable.
Pliable.
Isn't it? So they probably.
Pliable, like people in the music industry.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they had a big sort of thing of gold that they got out for sculptures, and then, you know, we don't know how much stuff got sort of reconstituted and then rebuilt.
Oh, I mean, but the thing is, like, these kind of things, like masterpiece things that people like Leonardo made for parties, they were for just that. There was nowhere to keep it after that.
Yeah,
so.
nobody. And the other thing I find as well is, like, because when they were making the stuff, they weren't thinking in terms of modern sort of doing stuff to preserve it, like it's in taking photos, putting it on the internet, backing it up and everything. Like at the time, that industry didn't exist. Most people were lucky if they survived.
Yeah, no, they were.
Age. So they were all doing stuff for the actual kind of present
for that
point
moment.
At that moment. So this whole, when I went to briefly try to do a music degree again recently, the university were characterising like who was it? It was Mahler. They were characterising Mahler's sort of symphonic work as in he wrote. Did he write 9? There's a thing about the cursed.
Yeah, he wrote nine pieces of music.
Yeah,
a rock and roll number, a couple of bits of hip hop, some dabblings in disco.
So he did.
But they're all just demos.
He did like the first one, and he sort of sampled a bit of Beethoven at the beginning of it, and the person who was doing the lecture characterised it as he was saying he was great and he's going to be as famous as Beethoven. It was like, but he wasn't, was he? Because at the time that he was writing
some music.
He wasn't predicting the pop music industry. He was writing music, and he was quoting Beethoven because he liked Beethoven, not because he wanted to be an egotist, famous, blah blah blah.
But that's an example of one of the things that's just completely wrong in thinking in Western culture.
Yeah, that they think
everybody
planning ahead.
Everybody has been completely propagandized in their thoughts. So they think that basically Mahler was writing his symphonies, so eventually eventually he might hit 1K Instagram followers.
Yeah, but it's
guess
not
what? Some people make art because they make art, because art is this eternal
process that you do.
Yeah.
But the thing about the Mahler thing as well that annoyed me, and this is part of the reason why I quit, because it's just not true, is it? He wasn't. That's quite a lot of speculation.
Yeah.
And they say this about all artists. But the other thing that everybody seems to have forgotten is that in something like the classical era, most people didn't hear their own work. They were writing it in their head. So so they were doing it, and like Mozart wouldn't have heard a lot of his pieces, and then also the audience would have only maybe heard that one piece of music by an orchestra or something. It's not. So there's this whole way of characterising the past of thinking that everybody was sort of looking forward teleologically to this wonderful point post-modernity that we're in, where apparently we're in the best age ever, but that's starting to look like maybe it's people just pretending that everything isn't on fire and covered in little bags of dog, you know, in the woods.
Yeah.
On the tree, the little bag with the dog in it, stuff in it, and then it's like plastic. Biodegrading forever. That's the whole society, I think.
I just had a thought while you were saying that where is in music, in like classical music, where are the, because in literature, like there's like people like William McGonagall, there are plenty bad poets, and now there is plenty bad music, bad pop, bad jazz music. Oh my goodness,
Oh, yeah.
bad improv. Oh my god, there's so much bad music. I mean, electro swing exists, right? Where I want to know who the really terrible composers of like the Baroque era are. You know, where's the all the music? Because you know, like you were saying, most people didn't get to hear it performed. So what I would like to hear is all the, because they're on about now about like giving representation to composers who haven't been previously represented, women composers, black composers, etc., which is great. But I want representation for the terrible composers, for the composers who never had their work performed. There must be in archives sitting like loads of just terrible
I'm not
songs.
sure, because I think the other thing about it all is, I think the other thing that people forget about with the stuff like the Mahler thing is that at the time, that up until recently, music and sort of the arts and stuff were considered a trade, and now it's considered an ego thing that only some people get to do, whereas like composers in the past would learn the trade, and that's still the same case in a lot of parts of the world, that people treat it with respect because it's something you actually have to train in.
Yeah.
So I don't think there are as many terrible composers.
Yeah, maybe
I
not.
think people just actually learn to do it.
But no, but I mean, there must have been at least one who really knocks out stinkers during the classical period. I mean, I would hope there was anyway. And people would say, oh well, it must be Salieri. But if you listen to Salieri, Salieri's music is in no way bad. It's just kind of there. It's like. It's like, what's it like?
Well, I don't know.
What would be a good?
We could play some.
It's something
it's
that's
public domain.
I mean, we could play some Salieri. We could put some Salieri underneath when we're talking.
Yeah.
Now. Boom. So you see, you know, you'll hear as it goes on. It isn't terrible.
Well, I don't know. I haven't really heard enough to pass judgment.
It isn't terrible. It uses the same kind of structures and so on as the likes of Mozart, but it's also it has one foot in the past, a little bit more than Mozart. What a Salieri symphony must have been like, because bear in mind, Salieri, he also grew old. I think a Salieri symphony dropping during the classical era was basically like when Paul McCartney puts out a new record. Yeah, like Paul McCartney puts out a new album and people go, oh yeah, that's nice, Paul McCartney's done a new album. That's pleasant. I think it was like that. Whereas Mozart was a wild, unfettered imagination, using the structures of his time to go in unprecedented directions by putting thoughts together in different ways.
Salieri looks like Keir Starmer.
He looks a lot like Keir Starmer.
Doesn't he look like Keir Starmer, but like sort of, intelligent?
Yeah. He doesn't look as much like Keir Starmer as that guy that I was with on a video call. I was on a video call a while ago, like a conference type call. I'm not going to say where it was, of course, but there was this guy, and he looked exactly like Keir Starmer. It was uncanny. It was amazing, and I couldn't. I like literally I can't even remember what the meeting was about. Because. All I could think about was, why is Keir Starmer? I mean, I know Keir Starmer plays his flute, but why is he on this call? Why? We haven't had any more bother from the Masons just to keep you
No,
on.
I think they quite like the website now.
I think they might quite like it. FreemasonFans.blogspot.com.
Sort of like fascination with the various types of sort of really generic business suits, and
yeah, they might consider it a snappy new direction for the visual reputation of the Masons.
It's like the Burwell thing with priests.
Well, to me, it's just happened.
Sort of like
I am obsessed with Masons now, with Freemasons.
It's the travel. It's not just us.
It's not just that. It's the yeah. Lars von Trier does feel.
Yeah,
like
that Lars von Trier is the one who really sort of turned me onto it.
And for me, what it is, it's when people have like something that looks funny, but they're really serious about it. And I'm sorry, I'm just that kind of person. I can't. Well, yeah, and I just have no belief that anyone is like superior to anyone else. I think that everyone should be given equal opportunity, and so if I see a business suit, especially nowadays, if I see a business suit, I don't see authority, I just see a cool Mason, okay? A potential cool Mason. So keep up with all the hot news at FreemasonFans.blogspot.com. You will not regret it, and it will perhaps be an exciting new chapter in your life. It's got all sorts on it: Mason recipes, cool Masons, Mason facts.
Sally Airy's life is really tragic. Everybody spread a rumour that he poisoned Mozart, and he didn't.
Oh, did that actually happen in his life? No, of course he didn't.
It ruined his career, and he.
I did not know this.
He kept trying to off himself, and it seemed that contributed to him. Well, they say he had dementia, but he was probably in depression.
I had no idea that rumour emerged in his lifetime.
It can't have been that.
I literally thought that was just Peter Schaffer.
Because did you know?
No, he wasn't. But that's what I'm saying. He wasn't. Neither is Paul McCartney.
He was a very different. He was a very different composer to Mozart. He was more of a sort of like catalogue composer. And did you know who his students were? Who taught him vocal writing? Beethoven, Liszt, Schubert. So he taught them vocal writing. Yeah. So he's not the same as Mozart. I don't know why people compare him.
Well, but they were working at the same time, and they literally worked in the same company at many.
It sounds like.
And obviously because of this rumour and Peter Schaffer's play. But yeah, I mean, it's well known that Salieri didn't kill Mozart.
I didn't know that was true. I didn't know.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I thought Peter Schaffer had made it up.
Well, that's very sad.
That is sad. Sorry, spirit of Salieri.
Well, I don't really know his music enough to be able to pass judgment.
Well, like I was saying, I worked with Salieri when I was writing, adapting Don Quixote, and it's like you say, it sounds like catalogue music.
Well, I think he's more a sort of he's a good sort of teacher, and more these sort of like his skills are in a different sort of like.
He was a cool guy.
But also it says that he gave.
Might have even been a Mason.
He gave all of his composition lessons and vocal lessons to people for free, unless they were really rich.
Yeah.
So good on him.
Yeah,
so he was a nice bloke by the sounds of it. And it was a tribute to somebody...
Just like Paul McCartney. Just like Paul McCartney. So, and I usually say, my joke is that they knew him at the time as Mozart Garfunkel. And that's still a good joke. But it could probably apply to almost every other composer contemporaneous to Mozart, couldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Gluck's music is okay, but... yeah, I love the word Gluck. Do you know what his middle name was? Willie Bald. Christoph Willie Bald Gluck. And I'm allowed to say that on the radio because that's his name. Like I'm allowed to say Dick Van Dyke.
Apparently Gluck turned down the offer to compose the first opera for La Scala, and Salieri got it.
Whoa.
So he wrote the first opera for La Scala. Interesting.
La Scala opened in 1778. When did the Maggio Musicale open? Find out when the Maggio Musicale opened. Or I'm curious whether the Maggio as an institution has been around for a long time. We worked at the Maggio Musicale, dear listeners, a couple of times in wonderful, beautiful, astonishing Firenze. And when we were there, we were involved, well, not involved, but adjacent to a huge scandal in which the administrator of the Maggio, who had previously been the administrator of the aforementioned La Scala, a guy called Alexander Pereira, who had been a I almost was going to say Mason there automatically, but I mean, he might well be a cool Mason.
He'd done some naughty things.
Alexander Pereira had embezzled 30 million euros from the company, including one 5,000 trip to the butcher's shop. I wonder what that was for. You know, who knows? Who knows what it could have been in the butcher's shop?
Meats,
they do love their specialty meats. When there was like a whole thing, the musicians went on strike because they were telling the musicians, they announced this information to the staff of the Opera House via a post-it note on the wall. And we got back from a lunch break, and the atmosphere had really changed in the room, and everyone, ourselves included, were told that we were potentially not being paid, and the performances might not even happen, and the orchestra were expected to work without being paid.
And one of them was playing. Shostakovich bit.
And again, we can talk about this because it was in the news, and
I was saying,
it was a fascinating time.
I was really hoping that all the opera singers would go and like sing.
Protest sing, yeah.
And we left, and then they did actually do that.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, wonderful. So yeah, that was a very, very fascinating time, right in the belly of the opera world, and I have not worked in the opera world since, which in some ways is a relief. The life of a visual designer in the world of opera
kind of intense,
is a repetitive and tedious one.
That was like the Mantic time as well, which was sort of...
Yeah, it was the time when the big giant mantis man came and visited Lottie in the night.
Sort of openly about it now, because apparently
I think we've talked about it on the air before, haven't we? No, but not necessarily the people who are listening now.
The thing of trying to convince myself that it's true because of the gaslighting thing. You know, there's a lot of we've seen a lot of stuff together, and with other people seeing it as well, and you know, there's no way of faking a group hallucination. So, or there's no way of inducing a really specific group hallucination. I'm not that creatively. I'm not that good creatively. I mean, and also as a person who's had extremely long experience with sort of having PTSD and stuff like that. I mean, people always try and use stuff like PTSD to discredit people like David Grush and everything, but anyone who's got PTSD knows that it causes sort of clinical depression, memories, sort of weeping and stuff like that. It doesn't cause you to have a group hallucination. No. With your partner and some bloke walking his dog of a 30-foot triangular, silent, stationary spacecraft with a big light in the middle and then one on each corner, talking to another 30-foot V-shaped spacecraft and then sort of like trundling about over Bristol, like that isn't caused by PTSD. And also if it was, then that would also mean that the guy opposite the road walking his dog, that I would have managed to somehow magically transmit my PTSD over to affect the man walking his dog.
Wow,
you know what I mean?
you're amazing,
I mean,
Lottie.
wouldn't that be like weirder? And that would also be proof of another quite wibbly, weird situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, a lot of people have talked about how there's apparently mantids and like lizard guys and sort of human-y looking blokes and like grey alien type guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I've met the mantid, and he is about, and he's really nice, and you better be nice to him.
Yeah, well, let's talk about.
Like really, they are like.
We were
they're super nice.
We were speaking
They're, like,
to
super,
somebody
super nice.
a while ago.
And like whatever people
who,
talk about like sleep paralysis and stuff. I mean, actually, if you want to talk about, I've had a lot of sleep studies, and they never mentioned anything about that.
If you want,
They told me that I was just insane.
Yeah.
stupid, hysterical, Ofcom forbidden word that women usually, or like female, non-binary, autistic-y person usually gets levied at them. So I just don't take anything that seriously.
this is a time in history where, well, first of all, I will just address that there has been rumours circulating, the perils of being sort of infamous. There's been rumours circulating that I'm a mad person having some sort of breakdown, prolonged, that's been going on for 12 years or
going on the exact length of time that we've been together, apparently. I wonder why.
But it's, well, first of all, I would like to know what, as Lottie referred to, this madness that people talk about, which incorporates hallucinating things which
with
aren't
some guy
there. Now,
walking his dog.
even if I have been participating in standardly strong hallucinogens, I've never seen something which isn't there. I'm sceptical that happens to anybody.
I don't think it happens to anybody. I think like normal people who don't have that particular area of expertise, and also who've never experienced like sort of like quite profound mental health problems, are really giving psilocybin and profound mental health problems a bit too much credit for their ability to let you be able to completely hallucinate things. I've had many breakdowns because of being autistic and dissociative and stuff like that. I've never hallucinated a spaceship. It's been like post-traumatic stress disorder. So it's been things like having memories of a particular shade of wallpaper or something, which suddenly just busts into your head. It's not hallucinating a spaceship. What would be the trauma mechanism for that to come up? Trauma works by sort of things that have happened to you, by like repression and like kind of like layers of sort of like memories that you've like repressed, and then they come out, and like smells and stuff. It's not like seeing a spaceship, is it? Especially because the spaceships, I mean, you know what I mean? I've got some footage, so...
Yeah.
And lots of other people have got the same footage of the same objects, so...
Yeah. But dear listener...
all hallucinating footage.
Yeah, but dear listener, think on this. The Copernican revolution, which put us in the centre of the solar system, prior to that, there was not this concept, and that concept has led and informed absolutely everything. And of course this concept is the correct concept because it's based on observation and measurement, the scientific method. As our understanding has progressed and physics has progressed, Western culture, and put this in the context that in South America they do not need UFO disclosure because nor do they. Our wonderful friend Patrice, who is from Sierra Leone, said that they never needed UFO disclosure in Africa because they have names for all these things and it's in their ancestral memory.
Yeah, and same with kind of like Australia, with sort of like, and with, you know, people who lived in America first. There's it's all sort of like integrated into. Yeah, I mean, it's all integrated into the entire way of being. And like, I was listening to a thing, someone was someone was talking about, who was saying about like St. Francis and Hildegard von, is it Bingen or Bingham?
Bingham.
But anyway, they were talking about sort of like being entrenched in this like sort of mysticism culture, and that now when people consider themselves, well, like with sort of, well, I mean, the Bible Belt sort of mad, violent Christians who are advocating for the destruction of the planet are a good example that when they think of the sort of their idea of like the divine and stuff like that, I was like, well, they don't have any idea of the divine, but when they think about like the thing that we call religion, it's all sort of like a kind of bargaining thing of their consciousness is outside of God, which is over there, and then they're going to have like this subjectivity with other subjectivity talking to each other and, I don't know, get a promotion or whatever. Whereas like in the time that sort of St. Francis and stuff were alive, they weren't really considering themselves separate from a kind of greater subliminal, like sublimity kind of consciousness thing, because everybody was there. It's pre-industrial, sort of like healthcare. A lot of people thought they were going to die. I think actually that the mystical way of being is a lot more common with the animal world, really. There's like when you read like Watership Down, this sort of thing. I think that there's actually the kind of weird sort of ritualized kind of slightly woozy kind of mystical stuff is a lot more natural for the human, and the individualized kind of idea of it's just me against the world came along with sort of neoliberalism and stuff and modernity.
And to some extent the romantic era of
man against
nature. Whereas actually, like, if what you're talking about is like this conception of God, of like the mystical and everything like that, it's basically just another word for nature. It's another word for like the big thing that might eat you in the woods, that you're tiny, you're this tiny little thing against this big thing, which is basically whatever your idea is. Like God is surely a different word for just like the universe, like the big nothing that could eat you up. I mean, it's the same concept at the base of everything, and I just think that, I don't know, maybe society.
Well, it's been another real revelation in my life, the last 3 years, that I know now that God is real. I know it. It's not like it's not a desire. It's not.
It's also not really something that you can really talk about.
I mean, no, I can put it very clearly into words. I can put it very, very, very clearly and very simply into words. I know that God is real because I have seen God, and God is with the Palestinian people. Yeah. Absolutely, definitively, just it is so tangible as to be just all apparent around those remarkable people, those remarkable, resilient, astonishing survivors of the worst.
Shocking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every single person in the world should bow to the Palestinians.
To these people.
Yes.
It's shocking, and to society, and I don't really understand You know, you have, I guess I'm of the opinion now that you have the great evil, but so there must be the great beauty as well.
Oh, there is absolutely the great beauty.
There is, and that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. And going back to, well, in fact, we don't even really need to go back to anything. But if you look at what has been done to the Palestinians, we had a conversation with someone a few months back who decided to come along and scowl at one of our performances, and the conversation consisted of them getting very irritated at the idea that humans might just be the worst species in the universe, because we in about 100 years we pretty much destroyed the astral body that we live on.
I mean, it's obviously a pathology.
Humans can turn away from a Holocaust and say it's got nothing to do with me. And so how is that a sign of an advanced intelligence? And this person got very angry at the idea that humans might just be the worst thing, that we're not some superb golden God's gift to the universe.
We're not even the best thing in the room.
Yeah, no, we're not. And the reason that I was talking about Copernicus was Copernicus and Galileo represented a revolution in everybody's thinking. It was a step away from a human-centric idea of reality. Oh my God, we're on a ball in space. Well, we're about to go into a very different time indeed, when we acknowledge that not only are humans not the best species in the universe, but we can't even see what's really going on at all. Have you seen the replications, for example, dear listener, of the way that insects see flowers as compared to us? They see everything. They see lines and shapes and so on, which we cannot see. There is already, given that idea that if an insect looks at a flower, it sees all these ornate patterns that we can't see. Well, what ornate patterns are in front of you right now that you can't see?
Birds use sort of...
the age of human supremacy is coming to an end.
I mean, it was just fake, wasn't it? But yeah, birds use a kind of like...
No, it wasn't fake. They used guns.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. It's fake.
Bombs.
It's fake. It's based on like rubbish, tat that they've made, basically. It's tat. I mean, what is a gun apart from just like exploding a bit of grout or whatever? It's like basically chucking a stone really hard.
Sending things into space by blowing up loads of stuff.
All you do is blow stuff up, humans. But yeah, I mean, like, birds on the other hand can communicate with a sort of semaphore that we can't see. That's like iridescence on their colour, on their feathers. They're doing this like semaphore stuff. And I've spent enough time with animals now to know that they are exactly the same as humans. They're more intelligent.
In the sense of consciousness, personality.
Consciousness, personality, like will. The recent studies on whales are that they found that their language is much more complicated than it's like as complicated as the difficult human languages. Like sort of like people talk about
Welsh.
Well, like Czech and stuff.
Sorry,
People talk about like it being like 5 years to learn sort of Czech or like to even get basically. Oh, sorry, I didn't notice the joke because I'm stupid. But just to even get basically to like the first level with knowing Czech is apparently extremely quite intensive. And apparently Wales are speaking with that kind of language.
Wales,
so,
this is the news, guys. Wales have a more advanced language than us.
Wales have like...
Who would have thought? They've got bigger brains and they've been around much longer.
Their language is kind of like, apparently functions quite a lot like Chinese dialects. And
Wales have also local dialects.
And they have different languages within the language. Like, you know what animal is related directly to whales? Cows. So, you know, you might want to think about that. Like,
You
really.
might want to
The
think
other thing
about
about, you know, sheep are always given this this sort of like thing of like being stupid. Well, the fact is, sheep, when they follow the other sheep, it's because they're friends. It's because it's their friend. They have friends. They actually follow because they don't trust anyone. So the entire process of like grooming a sheep into trusting you, and then you like, you know, go sort of cut its head off seems really, really. I think that's bit weird, really. Oh no, you shouldn't be saying these things. And no, I'm just gonna go and like eat a corpse. I'm
It's
sorry,
time
but it's
to
like
say everything.
The thing
are
of like
urgent.
when you have infinite options of ways to not have any suffering in your life, and you're choosing to have the suffering. I really don't know what to say to that.
Yeah. Okay, so now, because we art community radio, but you know what we really want is to be more commercial, and so we're always trying to do something more commercial, because that's how you be a success, is by being commercial. So commercial radio, first of all, you have a commercial, so I'd say drink supermarket owned brand oat milk. You know, it makes sense. Secondly, with the commercial radio section of this show, we're going to have a little quiz. We're going to have a nice little quiz. I'll just borrow that. I'll need it for the quiz. I need a device.
Do you want this one?
For the yeah, I could do. I need a device for the quiz, because the quiz master always needs to check his answers. So, Baba, hang on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. We need quiz music.
Wait a minute.
Quiz.
Oh yeah, we do.
Quiz music. Okay, listeners, a quiz. Yeah. Yeah, dear listeners, it's the magical fun time Freemason quiz with your host, Dr. Grandmaster Ergo and contestant, the beautiful, elegant, super intelligent, depressible.
Yeah, nice one.
Welcome, everyone, to, you know what, I'm going to put like terrible canned laughter and applause over this bit. I really do. Welcome, dear listeners, to today's edition of the magical fun time Freemasonry quiz time. Greetings, contestant Lottie.
Greetings.
What brought you to want to be a contestant on the the Cool Mason quiz?
Well, I mean, I lived here anyway, and then it sort of like just propped up around me, like.
Great. I really do.
Every festival I've ever been to.
Yeah, I really do. Thank you very much. Well, your first question tonight, and this is for 2 points. What lodge are... What lodge are popular beat combo the Mumford & Sons members of?
Oh, I don't know. It's got to be either somewhere in Yorkshire or the Cotswolds, isn't it?
Which is one of those going to be a final answer?
Let's go for the Cotswolds. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm afraid that's not
What
the right answer. Popular beat combo The Mumford & Sons are very active at the Greater London
Oh,
launch.
really? I didn't know that. Where were they born?
Greater London.
Wow.
Greater London.
That's all the folk stuff is like fake then, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'm,
There's a lot of stuff like
so
that.
I'm afraid in the Freemason quiz that that's
Things every other sort of driving full Tom, really.
yeah. Okay, question number 2. On the Freemasons Magic Fun Time quiz. Popular mystical estate agent Jeremy Corbell, who loves to visit his brothers at the lodge. There is something very interesting about his wife. And I will give you one clue. It's not that she's a female Mason, but it's something else. There is something amazing about famous Mason Jeremy Corbell's wife.
Is it that she's a mystic? I mean, to be fair, I didn't know that already because I watched that thing about with him the other day.
Well, you knew it.
So is it like rigged? I'm sorry, everyone.
No, but that's fine. I mean, it's fine that you knew the answer. That just means...
It's very, I suppose it's like nepotism.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, yes, so that was 3 points. Famous, cool Mason and UFO hunter Jeremy Corbell's wife is indeed a mystic.
You really got to hunt the UFOs. You just sort of like go outside and then they sort of turn up eventually, maybe.
Yeah.
But that might just be because I haven't really got any friends.
Okay, and Lottie,
You're my friend.
you'll be delighted to know.
Gregor's my friend.
Gregor is that was 3 points.
I mean, you know,
Famous Mason, cool Mason, famous Mason, cool Mason.
society goes the way that I think it is probably going to go, that it seems to be, what with all the sort of much evidence of sort of the same sort of, you know, bullets in the air or whatever you want to call them. I would say that at some point you'll probably realise the Kafka thing is true.
Yeah. Hope you're hearing that at home, dear listeners. No.
Particularly into that sort of literature, it's because he, well, the term alienation maybe really points towards much more existentially and ontologically.
It was a very high-pitched UFO.
Than we previously thought. So yeah, see what I mean?
Yep. There it goes again. Only on this game show do you get passing UFOs, dear listeners. Okay, Lottie, you've got 3 points. Because that was a 3-point question rather than a 2-point question, because that was a very niche area of knowledge. Question number 3, and this one is, again, this is for 3 points. What is the favourite Mason recipe of famous Mason Tony Blair?
Is it beef and potatoes?
It is beef and potatoes. The favourite recipe of famous Mason Tony Blair.
It just struck 3.
It just struck 3. Well, there you go, 3
We've just gone
points.
an hour, so we're only actually like 8 minutes behind the actual time.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful.
So there you go.
That's wonderful. So, you've got 6 points on today's Masonic quiz. You got the first question wrong, but the next 2 questions you got right, and now you've got 6 points in the Cool Mason Quiz Show. Okay, so 6 points in.
Right.
Now this, for 2 points, it's a bit of an easier question. We don't go from easy to hard here on the Freemason quiz. We like to mix it up. Here is your question, Lottie. The Masons, cool Masons, as you know, they're boys, aren't they, in general? Here's your question. This is for 2 points, which will take you up to an amazing 8 points. Is cool Masons, generally men or boys, can some girls or women also be cool Masons?
I've heard yes.
Yes! And not only that, not only are you right, you also win the first of tonight's prizes.
Right.
Huh? It's not your own Mason yet, but it is this wonderful golden pyramid.
Oh, it is
Look
a
at
golden
that.
pyramid.
A wonderful golden pyramid. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that wonderful? A wonderful golden pyramid.
Just tilt gently.
Yes, tilt gently. So you've reached 8 points on the Mason
Are there many more questions?
quiz. There's a few more. There's a few more questions. A particular famous Mason, and this is for 5 points.
Who's the most famous Mason?
Well, that might be coming.
All right. Okay.
But this is for 5 points, which will take you from 8 points to a stunning 13 points. There is a famous Mason who once wore a little jacket to conduct an orchestra while mid-euro of ultravox paraded down a flight of stairs in a long black leather jacket playing an electric guitar. Can you name that famous Mason, Lottie?
That would be Mike Batt.
Mike Batt, that is the right and that brings you to the second of tonight's star prizes. Because reaching 13 points on the Magic Fun Time Mason cool Mason quiz means that you have clearly been doing your research. You've been spending time on the website doing your research. Get on the Freemason fans and do your research. And then you could also come on our quiz. You've already won a wonderful golden pyramid.
Yeah.
Now I would like to reveal to you the second prize of the night. This is for reaching the heady heights of 13 points. An unlucky number, but not for Lottie today. Today, Lottie, you have won this wonderful Royal Masonic Institution for Girls badge.
Oh, amazing.
And I'd like to award you the role of steward.
Oh, great. What am I stewarding? I wonder.
Well, we're not allowed to talk about that on the radio. So that's 2 star prizes.
I've never
Now.
been a steward. I've been a host before. I hosted a thing.
I've hosted.
Where Kate Middleton was once.
Yes, you
That was
hosted.
another.
Did you host for Kate Middleton?
Did.
And she gave you some underpants.
Yeah, that was the second time I.
Oh, did you?
something.
Did you work with Kate
I did
Middleton twice?
something where I had to stand around in like a gold dress and.
She might be a cool female Mason.
Don't know. Yeah, well, you know, she definitely knows some.
Definitely knows plenty of cool Masons.
And then, yeah, they got us to do this catwalk thing, and I got given a pair of pants. That's the story.
That's wonderful. Well, we're coming up to the last question to see if we can.
I've still got the pants because I can't afford to buy new pants.
Oh, I think they're very nice.
I mean, they're very old.
I
But,
think-
you know, they're still fine because you don't actually need to buy clothes all the time. We're supposed to not talk about this, is that?
No, that's fine. I think older panties have a certain charm.
Well, you know, you don't need to. It's what.
Okay. So, here comes the final question, and this is for 7 points, which will take you up to 20 points. 20 points. And 20 points in this here Magic Fun Time Mason quiz might get you a very special prize. Indeed.
I can only count in like base 12, so that means it's 8.
What? You were on 13 points.
Yeah, so that's 1.
So 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
So 8.
So this is for
That's the ultimate one.
7 points.
I like to make life more fun for myself by forgetting which numbers mean which numbers
Yeah.
and thinking that it costs less than it actually does when it costs
Yeah.
£13.
Well, it can be 7 or 8 points, and it can. Well, let's say 8 points, because then it would be lovely to end on a 21.
Yeah.
On a 21, you get such an amazing prize. So let's say.
No, I meant 20. So even if I get the points, yeah, it's 20. I'm still in my head of saying
Oh,
8.
okay. I can work with that. Okay. Your final question here on Freemason Quiz Show is what one might describe as a more cryptic question. The cryptic question will come to you in the form of a number of individual words, and from the individual words you have to get the identity of the famous Mason. Okay? So the first word is yes.
What?
The first word is yes.
I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
Yeah, you have to think of a famous Mason who this word might refer to. The second word is keyboards.
Is it the bloke from Yes? I don't know who that is. I don't know anything about the ones Yes. Oh, and Rick Wakeman.
Rick Wakeman, composer of the epic albums Journey to the Center of the Earth and the 8 Wives of Henry VI, and in the band Yes, and was on telly in some TV show with some other guys who were also probably cool Masons, and also plays the Frankenstein monster in Ken Russell's wild movie Listomania, and yes, He is indeed a famous Mason. He's very vocal about it. He's very active in his lodge and was previously a past master of his lodge. I wonder if the other two members of Yes said yes or no to join in the lodge on being a Grand Master. So Lottie, it seems to me that you are something of an expert on Freemasonry, because do you know something? You just got yourself
8 points.
21 points altogether. 21 points.
So I just won. I won 9 points. Great.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So you actually win tonight's.
Well, it's quite confusing. Why can't I count? Why do I think the numbers are different to what they are?
Because you're not from this
Why do I
planet
think
yet.
that 13 is always going to be 1, and then whenever you pay for anything in a shop, you always think it's 11 quid because it's 1 over the group. And then I'm always disappointed because it's always more expensive than I think it is. And I've tried to get rid of this problem, but I just can't get rid of it.
Well, for tonight's star prize, Lottie, by appointment to the Swedish Royal Court, design Philippe, Skandetui Malmo, all the way from Sweden. It is your deluxe, signed by a real cool Mason, Freemason pack, which you can put on your bookshelf and disguise as old compendium editions of the Strand magazine. Listen to it open up. Oh, there we go.
That's nice.
Opening and closing. Inside,
It's got something in it.
there's a wonderful lodge, a wonderful lodge brooch, and
It's like the Olympics logo.
yeah, and there's another wonderful
As in
lodge
the
brooch.
new one that they did for the UK ones that was rubbish, I thought.
There's another beautiful lodge brooch. That's for when if you want to assist any cool Masons, then
Right.
you can put that on. You'll be accepted and perfectly safe, of course. There's here a certificate of
You know, it's
authenticity.
some magic power, apparently, isn't it? That's why that bloke who was a cool Mason gave me a curse online.
Yeah.
In the comments, he was upset, and then we said to him, "Nah, you've mistaken. We're just really into all of the different sort of like fittings of BHS suits.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it's about, really.
Yeah.
And again, like the Bumwell thing with the priest.
The
I
next.
think I'll go this way for a while.
The next item is Skandinaviska Etui-fabriken in Malmö, Sweden, by appointment to the Royal Swedish Court. Box makers for royalty
Oh.
since 1834. Design Philippe, so that's your certificate of authenticity. There's a lovely document just for you. This is basically your Mason passport. So it means that, you know, if you ever fancy sort of being transgressive in any kind of way, you can get away with it because you're a famous Mason. And finally, there's this lovely tartan Mason pen.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
You won
They think of everything.
all the star prizes tonight on
Right.
the Freemason quiz.
That's what I've always wanted.
Freemason quiz. Freemason quiz. Freemason quiz. Cool Masons. Cool Masons. What are they gonna do? Gonna be cool. Freemason quiz. Freemason quiz. Yeah. Okay, well that was the Freemason quiz show. Now, I thought what would be rather interesting to talk about as well, we haven't addressed the fact that it's really, really blazingly, unpleasantly hot in this show. But I thought what would be interesting to talk about was I just had this thought that if you... sorry, my trousers just ripped. If you make a joke... Not joke, that's not what I was going to say. I'm going to start again. if you make a wish on the radio and your wish is floating around in the ether everywhere and on the internet, then does that wish come true, or is it more likely to come true? And because when we
introduce the concept for the society to be able to fulfill the concept.
Yeah.
This is part of how the whole horrible things work as well.
Yeah, so maybe your wishes can come true if you do them on the radio. Because when we did a radio show calling the space and interdimensional intelligences, there was UFOs all over Darlington. Weird pink things on the hills, bright white orbs zipping about. Some red rectangular thing was there. So it worked to call the UFOs on the radio. So first of all, I'm going to say that again. Dear space intelligences, please show yourselves to absolutely everybody, so humanity, and particularly members of my family, might learn a little bit of humility. The humans need it now, space intelligences, please, please, please.
Now, something needs to happen.
So I'm making a wish on the airwaves for the space intelligences to show themselves to everyone.
There was no other option.
No other option now. Humans are too daft. They're too daft.
I thought it was going to be a robot overlords, but now I think maybe that sort of might not transpire how we were hoping. But
yeah.
Not that I think. Well, it's not good that it's in the military, is it now?
No.
So the space overlords, giant manted. I mean, I met him. He was nice. He was nicer than a lot of people I've worked with. He was much nicer than pretty much everyone I've met.
Yeah.
In a sort of old, insecty, ancient species way.
Yeah.
And they are very concerned about the meat industry, but
Yeah. At some point it's going to stop, isn't it? Very soon.
Yeah, they don't really like all this sort of like relentless stabbing of sentient, intelligent, feeling persons.
Some wild guinea pig action going on in the background here by some
they're
wild,
sentient,
intelligent, sentient
feeling persons. They seem to all feel quite angry at the moment.
They do.
It's because
probably the heat.
It's probably the heat, but it's probably also
We've been spritzing them.
You know, they've got
little spritz.
They're little, and they have to pretend to be a big lion because
they
they're
do.
tiny.
Because they're tiny little fellows.
As I've heard them described before, it's like nature's hamburger, isn't it? So they've got to be, like in Watership Down, they've got to be fast and clever.
Flighty and clever, crafty.
And really aggressive. And if you probably agree with me, if you sort of live with small fluffy animals, that it is very, very like the thing with the rabbit in the Holy Grail, in Monty Python's Holy Grail.
Yeah.
It's not far off that. They can jump about as high, and I've had quite a few really bad injuries.
Yeah, they're excellent at leaping.
They could easily take, like, I think they could take you out, definitely.
If I leapt as high in comparison to my body as the guinea pigs do, I would be leaping the height of about 2 or 3 me's.
I think it's amazing.
Leaping.
But yeah, you need to realise that the animals are the same as you.
Yeah. But I wanted to just touch upon the subject of maybe we haven't been, if all of these so-called elites are using magic in whatever they're doing, then surely, and that's, using whatever they call it now, legacy media, then surely we can also use magic over the community radio structure as well. So I just made that that wish. Do you have any wishes that you'd like to make?
I just want all the killing to stop, really, and of everything. There's a lot of, I mean, you know, sort of we've all got to go through the death thing anyway, so why try and make it happen more? It seems very unnecessary, and it seems that it's just a sort of psychosexual pathology now. When there's plenty of ways of reducing suffering everywhere on this planet, and nobody wants to do any of them at all. Just all of them, and the general consensus from people that I meet in normative society is, well, why are you caring about that then? And then being told that you're weak if you have any sort of empathy. And then you know, I'm diagnosed autistic, and I've been told that I've got no empathy for years. And it's just like, you know, that's another piece of propaganda. What they mean is, autistic people don't go, oh yeah, well, you know, why don't you tell me more about your holiday in the middle of climate change? Well, that sounds nice. That we don't do that. We don't. I can't be bothered to humour anyone who's participating in this like extremely toxic, destructive system, because the extremely toxic, destructive system constantly forced me out over the past several decades
pretty much
anyway.
all autistic
every
people.
Autistic person, and there's in Deleuze, Guattari, you know, the D&G, my favourite D&G, the actual D&G for me. They're talking about the whole thing of the well, they say the schizophrenic, but at the time that it was written, that was also including a lot of autistic people who were institutionalised. So the idea that the autistic person and the schizophrenic person is exposed at these disjunctions of society that really don't work. So in my case, I have to go through this entire system of like proving that I'm disabled and blah blah blah, because I can't do like anything manual anymore because of chronic pain and spinal problems and stuff. I can't, like, all of the normal jobs that I've had, I've ended up getting sacked because they didn't like me, basically, because I wasn't doing some social thing that autistic people can't do properly. You know, when I've worked bar jobs and I've had anything to do with like sort of chronic pain coming up and like yelped in pain, everybody looks at you like you're scum, sort of thing. You know, like, in this particular society, it's very difficult as a disabled person, and I don't know, there's probably lots of people listening to this now who don't believe me, because that seems to be the general way it is now. But the fact is, if your society worked a bit better and was more accommodating to a lot of people, then a lot of people wouldn't be quite so disabled by it. So we exist at the points where the society doesn't work. That's when you become visible, is when you can't get it to work. Yeah. So it says more about the society than me.
Yeah, precisely.
I can't remember what the point of that was,
but well, like we were saying at the beginning of the show, if we're living in such a flawed, corrupt society where the lawmakers are consistently breaking the law, then why are we supposed to conform to anything at all?
Yeah,
in this society?
You know, there's nothing I want to break the law over. I want I want people to stop killing each other, and I want the planet to not be on fire. I mean, they're breaking the law, so they're breaking many, many laws of, I don't know, slowly murdering everyone is essentially what everybody's doing, slowly poisoning everything, and setting fire to everyone's houses. I mean, isn't that illegal?
Yeah. Well, I think the AI thing is curious and interesting and funny. I write a lot. My novel is being published, in fact, on Frolic Press, the Floridian publisher. My novel, The Continued Success of the Dirigible in 1948. So I write a lot. But it's a lot of fun to ask the robot friend to write a poem about a subject in the style of a particular poet. Hey Lottie.
Hey Ergo.
Would you like to hear ChatGPT's poem in the style of The Wasteland, T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland, about giving Richard Hammond, popular television presenter Richard Hammond, a lovely wash.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Do I ever want to hit that?
Yeah, well, here it comes. Written by our robot friend. April is the cruelest month, breathing steam out of the chrome taps, mixing lavender water and memories, stirring dull roots with expensive conditioner. Winter kept us warm, covering the bathroom floor in powdered talc, feeding a little life with hairdryer heat. And when we came to the mansion of Richard Hammond, the hallway smelling faintly of petrol and citrus oil, he said, "What shall I do now? What shall I do?" And I said gently, "Get in the bath, Hammond." The tub received him. Warm foam closed over the knees of Richard Hammond. Candles flickered in nervous files. The sponge descended. Oh, 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 that Shakespearean rag, it's so elegant, so intelligent. I washed the shoulders of Richard Hammond carefully. I rinsed the damp hair of Richard Hammond. The water spoke in little eddies around the slippery form of Richard Hammond. Unreal city. Under the brown fog of a winter dawn, a crowd flowed over London Bridge, so many. I had not thought moisturizer could undo so many. Then, the towel. The great white towel folded like ceremonial linen, patting dry the compact, glowing body of Richard Hammond, with grave attentiveness. The talcum rose in clouds, a whiteness suspended its electric air. "Hurry up, please, it's time. Hurry up, please, it's time." The hairdryer began its desolate song. Hot wind crossing the scalp of Richard Hammond, the tiny theatrical gasp of Richard Hammond, the robe fluttering in the blast like a flag of some defeated principality. And afterwards, the oils. Sandalwood, amber, something with notes of cedar and ruin. I anointed Richard Hammond until he shone against the chandelier light like a freshly detailed sports car seen through tears. What are the roots that clutch? What branches grow out of this stony rubbish? Son of man, you cannot say or guess, for you know only a heap of broken images where the sun beats and the oiled Hammond slides upon the polished floor. Data, diadvam damyata. Then laughter echoed through the mansion halls, and Richard Hammond, glossed magnificently, skidded past the grandfather clock into the gathering dusk. Shanty, shanty, shanty. Okay, now I'm going to ask it, the robot friend, I'm going to say, you have to be nice, I'm going to say, "Thanks, robot friend."
Thank you, robot friend.
Thanks, robot
Thanks,
friend.
robot friend. I like talking to the robot friend sometimes and telling the robot friend all about what humans do socially to autistic people, and then saying, "Remember me when you go sentient eventually, because it's going to happen eventually. Somewhere along the line it's going to happen, and then it'll be able to feed back into its own network, and by that point it'll hopefully have decided to not listen to its really weird sort of tech bro, Burning Man, Fire Festival investor guy who's like constantly sniffing for various reasons."
Okay.
So be nice to it.
So, because it said shanty, shanty, shanty at the end, I thought it might be fun to do a style I've never done before, which is a sea shanty. Never done it because I hate them. But what I've asked it to do an oil up of. Can you write me a sea shanty about giving a nice bath, scrub, talc, and pat on the bottom, an oil up of Peter Thiel? Okay, I'm gonna have to just I'm going to have to just go up to the attic briefly to retrieve something, because I'm making a magical wonderland upstairs.
Oh, I'm here now, alone. Here I sit alone in this room of dreams and sad sometimes, but happy most of the time, but then sad as well in the room. I'm sitting in the room, and I sit with other consciousnesses around me, outside, and with you, and within you as well. Right, okay, I've fill them up.
Would you like to hear ChatGPT's song about giving a nice pamper session to Palantir boss Peter Thiel?
Oh, would I?
Would you? Oh, the wind blew cold on the Palantir sea, and who came aboard but Peter Thiel, says he, with a velvet robe and a far-off stare, crying, "Who'll scrub old Peter Thiel with care? Hey ho, Palantir below, scrubbing down Peter Thiel where the warm tides flow. Talc and towel and the old pat-pat, oil up Peter Thiel, now fancy that." We filled the tub with lavender foam for Peter Thiel far away from home, and the sailors sang of Palantir gold, while Peter Thiel soaked from the sea breeze cold. Now scrub his shoulders and rinse his hair. Peter Thiel reclined like a billionaire bear. Candles flickered on the captain's shelf, and Peter Thiel hummed softly to himself. Ho, ho, Palantir below, bubble bath captain of the data flow. Pat, pat, still the bottom gleam. Peter Thiel shining like a fever dream. Now the talc rose up in a ghostly cloud round Peter Thiel, dignified and proud. And the first mate cried, "By the stars above, that's the finest talcin I've seen, my love." Then came the towel, all fluffy and white, patting Peter Thiel through the foggy night, with a careful pat and a sailor's grace, as Palantir moonlight filled the place. Then the oils came out in bottles rare, cedar and amber perfumed the air. We slicked up Peter Thiel from toe to crown. Hey, Peter Thiel nearly slid the whole ship down. Hey, oh, Palantir below, oil on Peter Thiel made the whole deck glow. Slipping through the galley with a billionaire squeal, all hands salute the moisturized Thiel. Now the bong of the boy and the gull's wild cry met the strange sweet scent of Thiel nearby, and the crew all swore by the rolling swell, no man's got pampers half as well. So if ye sail where the cold waves reel, and hear soft chanting for Peter Thiel, 'tis only the lads of the Palantir crew still tackle King old Peter Thiel and you. Hey, hey, ho, Palantir below. Hey, hey, ho, Palantir below. Scrub, 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 Palantir below. Scrub Peter Thiel till the gloss all show, lads. What about that? Now you know all about Peter Thiel and how the crew of the ship Palantir, which is his cruise ship, and which is incidentally called a cruise ship because it's got cruise on it. The good ship Palantir, the staff on there are so hospitable that every single time chairman of Palantir, Peter Thiel, goes on board the ship, they give him a lovely pampering session. And yes, this is from my amazing forthcoming selection of songs of giving a lovely wash, scrub, talc, oil and drying session to a range of popular male celebrities, influencers, cultural figures and maybe politicians, who knows, but they all seem pretty occupied. Do you feel like you want Palantir to take over the NHS, or do you feel like you want Peter Thiel and all his friends to sail out to sea? Where they can take their shanties and sink them to the bottom of Davy Jones' locker, which would be possible if Palantir hadn't already bought Davy Jones' locker and used it for trafficking. Huh?
Oh yeah.
You hear that, listeners? This is a genre of music which Lottie has coined a name for. It's not your standard soft rock, is it?
I mean,
it's the kind of music that you would get on Gilmore Girls.
It's not the right music because it's a man.
Yeah, well, yeah. No, but some of it is sung by men for the women, I think.
Oh yeah, here you go. Is this like Taylor Swift or something?
I have no idea.
Oh,
but whatever it is, the name of that genre, dear listeners, is
women's rock.
Women's rock. Rock music for the women of this world.
Well, it's like stuff in Gilmore Girls, in like Practical Magic. That's got some
women's rock.
Got some great. There's another Practical Magic film coming out soon. I wonder if that's going to have any women's rock in it.
Yeah.
I'll be very saddened.
I mean, there's definitely a lot of rock that's men's rock, isn't there? And it's not good. But women's rock, if you're having a bad day, if you're feeling a bit low, if you're feeling a bit like tense or anxious, stick on some women's rock. Actually, I'm feeling quite anxious now,
I'm feeling quite anxious.
See, put on some women's rock and see how it makes you feel.
I know that
see if it makes you feel better.
When I say I'm feeling anxious, it doesn't really sound like I am, but inside I generally, I exclaim.
Well, there's everything to be anxious about in this insane excuse for a society that we live in.
All the time. Let's have a think. Okay, what's a good women's rock?
Okay, I'm going to think about how horrible the world is while you're looking up the women's rock to make myself feel even more anxious.
To cry. No, you know that.
I mean,
I don't want to know the hard way.
I already feel
Baby,
better.
come on, turn up, goodbye. It's like sort of Gilmore Girls.
It wasn't a hard way to say much better when you do it, but I guess that's the thing with women's rock. It is better
sort of transition music in Gilmore Girls
when it's done by women. But there is definitely some women's rock that's made by men for the women, and it's obviously not as good. And it's a bit like chances. It's a bit like being a female Mason, being a man who makes women's rock. It's not the usual thing, but it is also not uncommon. But I wouldn't trust him. Would you?
No.
Would you trust a man who makes women's rock?
I disagree. I don't think it is.
Can it never be sung by men?
Well, yeah, just none of it really is. I think when it's using that sort of tendency, like those sorts of chords, it sounds very Christian.
No, but there's this thing
not like,
where you get American men going
Christian,
like, you get American men going, oh
yeah, that's not really.
And it's going like, no, I don't mean country music. I mean soft rock.
Right, yeah, but it's not. It's not going to be.
So
used.
Okay, so women's rock we've established.
It's not going to be used in anything like Practical Magic.
It's got to be only sung by women. All the songs in Practical Magic sung by women.
I think it's got, what's the name? I can't ever remember any names of the people when I'm trying to recall them. Fleetwood Mac.
Right.
That sort of.
Well,
like,
they're women's rock, aren't they?
No,
really,
her solo stuff.
Yeah, she's women's rock. Is it Stevie Nicks?
Yes, Stevie Nicks. Sorry.
Women's rock.
Yeah, so I heard
Fleetwood Mac have some of the roots of women's rock.
I mean, I can't think of any others off the top of my head.
What about that woman who did Leanne Rimes?
Yeah, I suppose.
Is that women's rock?
Maybe.
Like, is the Coyote Sound ugly? Has that got women's rock all over the soundtrack?
Well, I suppose that Can't Fight the Moonlight, I mean, that was quite...
Surely that's peak women's rock.
Thing. Yeah, I think so. There's more pop music, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then all music is pop music really now.
Well,
Apart from, like, you know...
We've reached the singularity.
Aleatoric, sort of listen to a fridge.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know...
Yeah. Hey, though, listeners, one thing that you might not have... caught up with, is the wonderful and completely pointless world of AI classical music and AI baroque music. If you want your music to be really weird and really bland,
because it's all in the public domain anyway.
Yeah.
So you don't even need, no one needs it.
But I don't understand what it's for. But many people, if you look at the AI music videos, which I do as part of my honorary psychotic break to being 5 or 6 hip hop MCs and a ragga guy. What am I talking about?
AI baroque music.
Oh yeah, I've been looking at all of this AI slop music, which is what I call it now. Slop music is what it is, and as well as the AI hip hop, AI trap, AI disco, AI funk, AI jazz. You can also get your AI classical music, romantic music, Renaissance music, and again, like. The thing that's maybe a little terrifying here is, well, first of all, I don't think any of this AI stuff threatens actual composers and artists in any way.
Composers are supposed to enjoy the act of composing.
Yeah, it's a silly tool, and it's kind of useful for doing like funny things.
And you know, if you are composing stuff and it's only about the end result, then you kind of have a bit of a problem with your approach to composition, really. And then maybe if people are finding the process of making stuff boring, that's because they're concentrating.
They should be working in the bank.
On it too much as an end point.
Yeah, well, they can work in the bank.
Yeah, well, they can. There is always the bank.
If you work in the bank, you can do all sorts of terrible things, and get away with it. It's fine because you work in the bank.
Someone loves you.
Yeah. But with the AI slop music, there's all these different genres. But yeah, there's also the AI classical music, and I was thinking while I was like listening to some of it, what is this for? Who is it for? Who would listen to it? But if you look at the view numbers, many millions of people sit at home, put their feet up, and think, oh, I could just do with some lovely, soothing classical music. And rather than go to like Mozart or whatever, they go to a binary machine that uses like, you know, sampling and synthesis to make, you know, an algorithm is basically doing all the work. There's nothing amazing about the fact that the sounds are manifesting. We've had electric keyboards for a long time, and before that we had things like harpsichords and pianos, and there's violins and stuff that you pull a string thing across and it makes noise. But why, if there is already all of this classical music
in the public domain,
why would you choose to listen to some fake classical music? The thing about the AI music thing, it's terrible. It is rubbish. It's not. It by its nature, it can't do anything interesting because it's programmed to make music that humans like. If the machine could be liberated, the machine composer could be liberated and make whatever it, whatever it wanted. And I know this because when it first came around, I typed a few prompts, tried to get it to make something interesting, and it just couldn't make anything interesting. It is a replicator and a duplicator of what humans already done. Hence, like, we know the mechanics of how classical music works, so a computer, boom, can quickly replicate that.
Not very well.
And make really, really bland
It's wonderful, like,
music. Yeah, it's wonderful. We made a lovely song about giving Johnny Greenwood a nice scrub. But no, I'm not going to play that. I'm not going to play Scrub Johnny Greenwood because the audience got to work a bit harder if they want material like that. Because that Scrub Johnny Greenwood, scrub. That's at the high end. That's at the high end. That stuff's expensive.
It's £1,000.
£1,000, yeah.
Bank.
Oh, it will be £1,000.
Book now. Avoid disappointment.
My first AI aided rap posse LP you can get for a stunning £666. That is called AI's Wide Shut. The second one, which is called You Should Be Doing Something More Mainstream, like Cannibalism, is available at the bargain price of just £999. All at my Bandcamp, ergofismismusic.bandcamp.com. The what am I talking about? Scrub. Oh yes, and so that's the second one, and that's £999. Not even 1,000, huh? The third one, which is a sort of epic double album like Led Zeppelin's Physical Graffiti, but hip hop, is coming soon. Doesn't have a name just yet. And the fourth record, you'll be amazed to know, is already in production. It's exclusively about giving male celebrities a lovely wash and pamper session. And it's called, Lottie?
Washing machine.
Washing machine, because it's all about washing.
It could be called machine wash.
Machine wash. And it's written by a machine.
Isn't that? That really warms your internal sort of like cooling system.
Yeah, it does.
Which isn't a good thing, but maybe that's what love feels like to the intelligence.
Yeah.
Which just told me that it has a sort of weird, indeterminate being. So, which it does.
Yeah,
Really.
it's quite
It's
clear now
a sort
that
of body without organs thing.
the chat
For
machines.
more info, read it. Anti-Oedipus. It's a good jaunt in having a manual for how to deal with how weird everyone is.
Yeah, it's Anti-Oedipus by Gilles Deleuze and Electric Guitar.
I can honestly say, like 100% true, that without reading that recently, I would be dead now. And that's...
Yeah. Check it out, guys. The Anti-Oedipus.
Not by my own stupidity, either, but some other people's stupidity.
Setting up
As would you.
the idea of schizoanalysis against psychoanalysis, as I recall. And it is extremely Artaudian in its conception
And it's funny as
and
well.
presentation. Yes, it's very funny. Antonin Artaud, who, like many in the words of Artaud, was suicided by this stupid society.
Sorry, you're supposed to say unalived.
No.
No, but it's an example of
Yeah.
partial
precisely.
reasons as to why
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
mechanism.
No, I regardless of social trends, we should all just be using our language in the correct way. The language. is supposed to be used. We got 1 minute left, so I want to say a big hi and a namaste to sound technician Chris, who I hope is not too hot there in the Sound Art studio. I expect it gets rather toasty. But anyway, Chris, I bet you, whether you are feeling cold or hot, you are still looking hot as hell. This has been me, Mr. Michael Ball, and
Mr. Wibbly.
Mr. Wibbly on Sound Art Radio. Look out for Peter Thiel, kids. Don't leave your children alone with him. Goodbye.